December 4th, 2020, House passes the Tiger King bill to ban private ownership of big cats. By Lindsay McPherson, posted December 3rd, 2020 at 10:05 p.m. The House on Thursday passed a bill that could prevent the emergence of another Tiger King. Joe Exotic, the other nickname for Tiger King, Joseph Maldonado Passage, for whom the infamous Netflix docuseries is named, is in prison serving a 22-year sentence for wildlife crimes and a murder-for-hire scheme. But some in Congress want to make sure no one else can ever allow the public to interact with big cats like the Tiger King did at the former Greater Wynnewood Exotic Animal Park in Oklahoma. The House, in a 272 to 114 vote Thursday, passed legislation known as the Big Cat Public Safety Act, which would ban private ownership of big cats, such as tigers, lions, leopards, cheetahs, jaguars, or cougars. The measure would make it illegal for someone to breed or own big cats without the animal exhibition license from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, but would grandfather in current owners if they register with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and abide by federal regulations. The bill's actual impact on the Tiger King, had he not gotten into financial and legal trouble that forced him to transfer ownership of his zoo to Jeff Lowe and ultimately led to his imprisonment, would have been minimal. Maldonado Passage had an exhibitor's license, so he could have remained in operation, but would have had to stop his controversial practice of cub petting, as the bill would ban licensed exhibitors from allowing visitors to interact with big cats. The USDA suspended the zoo's license this summer, and shortly after, Lowe announced that he would permanently close operations, and action court battles had already set in motion. The measure, sponsored by Illinois Democrat Mike Quigley, required 2/3 support for passage because it was brought up under the fast-track process known as suspension of the rules. It garnered enough bipartisan support despite some Republican opposition over concerns it would destroy responsible wildlife exhibitors and structured breeding programs for big cats. House Natural Resources Ranking Member Rob Bishop, the only member to speak against the legislation during the brief floor debate Thursday, argued that reality TV shouldn't serve as the basis for public policy, saying, quote, "This bill, contrary to what I've been hearing so far, is not about protecting the public from big cats," unquote, the Utah Republican said. Quote, "It is about hurting small family-run zoos across the country. It is a power play of some kind," unquote. Some GOP lawmakers also poked fun at Democrats for putting the bill on the floor ahead of measures such as coronavirus relief. The big cat legislation existed long before the Netflix docuseries Tiger King, released in March, told the world story of Joe Exotic and his tiger empire. Carole Baskin, Exotic's arch-rival in the docuseries and owner of Big Cat Rescue in Tampa, Florida, has been pushing for the bill for years. The first episode of Tiger King showed Baskin lobbying on Capitol Hill, followed by a clip of California Democrat Jared Huffman chairing a Natural Resources Subcommittee hearing on the bill. Quote, "The Big Cat Public Safety Act would end the ownership of big cats as exotic pets and prohibit exhibitors from allowing the public to have contact with them," unquote, Huffman said in the clip. His comments were followed by Mahamayavi Bhagavan Doc Antle, owner of Myrtle Beach Safari in South Carolina, asserting that if the bill passed, quote, "it would destroy private zoos across America," unquote. Antle was recently indicted for wildlife trafficking. Huffman looked back to his cameo in a tweet Tuesday about the series that he previously told Heard on the Hill paired well with, quote, "a bottle of Tums," unquote. Quote, "Through the drama and twists, it showed a real issue, the inhumane exploitation of these majestic animals," unquote, he said. Quote, "We're bringing the Big Cat Public Safety Act to end these practices up for a vote, and I'm glad to have helped move it forward through our committee," unquote. The bill was reported out of the Natural Resources Committee in September of 2019, half a year before Tiger King came out on Netflix, on a 21-14 vote. Only one Republican voted for it, Arkansas's Bruce Westerman, whom the House GOP conference on Thursday approved to be the committee's ranking member in the next Congress. Quigley and the other Democrats have taken to Twitter this week to celebrate the bill finally getting a floor vote. Some Democrats invoked, quote, "Tiger King," unquote, to promote the bill. Baskin mentioned the uphill battle to pass the bill in a November 26 post on her rescue website on the current whereabouts of the Tiger King stars, noting that her husband, Howard Baskin, continued to lead weekly calls with coalition partners on the efforts to phase out private possession of big cats. And then they gave the link to Where Are the Tiger King Stars Now?, which is what I read to you from a couple days ago, yesterday. Quote, "We have a majority with over 230 co-sponsors, but need a 2/3 vote to pass under suspension," unquote, she wrote. I wrote, quote, "We are rallying the tens of millions of supporters of our collective organizations to contact their members of Congress," unquote. As for her personal update, Baskin noted her appearance on the most recent season of ABC's Dancing with the Stars and said she is in negotiations for a TV series on her work to end the abuse of big cats. A judge handed over control of the Oklahoma property that Maldonado Passage once owned to Baskin and her husband this summer. Wayne Pacelle's press release, picked up by several outlets. House votes to ban trade in big cats as pets and props for roadside zoos. Washington, D.C. The U.S. House of Representatives overwhelmingly passed the Big Cat Public Safety Act tonight by a vote of 272 to 114, 8 months after the salacious reality television series Tiger King put the animal welfare and public safety issues of private ownership of tigers and lions on the American radar screen. The legislation seeks to ban the trade in big cats as pets and to halt exploitation of the animals for cub petting at roadside zoos, two forms of commerce that have been creating a stream of big cats who soon get too big and dangerous to handle and then are discarded by the industry and face subsequent peril. Animal Wellness Action, Big Cat Rescue, the Animal Wellness Foundation, the Center for a Humane Economy, and the SPCA International were among a major set of animal welfare, law enforcement, and conservative groups backing the measure. Big cats are amazing, but best viewed at a distance in the wild or through a sound barrier at an accredited zoo, said Wayne Pacelle, president of Animal Wellness Action. Breeding them for the pet trade or cub petting is a hazard for the people and the animals, and we give a big roar of approval to Representatives Mike Quigley and Brian Fitzpatrick for leading the way on getting the bill passed today in the House. We are thrilled that the Big Cat Public Safety Act passed the House with bipartisan support to protect big cats from abuse, the public and first responders from injuries and death, and the tiger in the wild from extinction, said Big Cat Rescue CEO and founder Carole Baskin. None of these important goals are partisan in any way, and we hope the Senate will follow suit quickly to make it into law. In many cases, when big cats are discarded by roadside zoos, it is a network of animal sanctuaries that are asked to house the animals for the remainder of their lives, and it is an enormous expense. After months of the public loudly and clearly calling for Congress to end private big cat ownership, I am extremely pleased that the House has now passed the Big Cat Public Safety Act. Big cats are wild animals that simply do not belong in private homes, backyards, or shoddy roadside zoos. Too often, law enforcement and first responders are the ones who end up in danger from these animals. And in a time when our first responders are already facing increased risks from the pandemic, we owe it to them to limit the additional dangers they face on the job, said Representative Mike Quigley, the lead author of H.R. 1380. Animals like tigers, lions, leopards, and pumas should not be exposed to the miserable conditions so many of them in our country currently face. By passing the Big Cat Public Safety Act, we are one step closer to ensuring these animals are treated humanely and to keep the public safe from dangerous big cats. I am pleased to see the House passed our Big Cat Public Safety Act today. For too long, big cats have been mistreated, exploited, and abused in private roadside zoos, said Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, a Republican from Pennsylvania, the lead Republican author of the measure to protect big cats. As a member of the bipartisan Congressional Animal Protection Caucus, I'm committed to ensuring our government is doing its part to promote animal welfare. It is crucial we stand up for animals, both as individuals and as a society, and our legislation takes an incredible step to protect all animals. Captive big cats are not animals that first responders are trained to handle. Firefighters, police officers, and EMTs don't want to face off against a captive tiger or lion when they respond to an emergency at a private home, said Jeff Denham, a former four-term Republican House member from the Central Valley of California. I was the lead author on the Big Cats bill during my time in Congress because I know it's unsafe to breed these animals for commercial profit, unsafe for the animals and for any people who cross paths with a 350-pound carnivore. I'm delighted the House took up the measure and passed it with bipartisan support. A Senate companion bill, led by Senator Richard Blumenthal, Democrat from Connecticut, also has bipartisan support. The measure is endorsed by the National Sheriff's Association and the Fraternal Order of Police, along with former attorney generals throughout the nation. Some years ago, a disturbed animal owner released dozens of large, powerful animals into the community in Zanesville, Ohio, and Sheriff Matt Lutz was forced to respond to protect the community. In 2003, Congress unanimously enacted the Captive Wildlife Safety Act to ban the trade in big cats as pets, and President George W. Bush signed it into law. The measure had a drafting error, and the Big Cat Public Safety Act seeks to correct that problem and to ban breeding big cats for cub petting. The Zoological Association of America, which has been the primary opponent of the Big Cat Public Safety Act, withdrew its opposition just months ago. The Association of Zoos and Aquariums, AZA, has long supported the legislation. Many of the major roadside zoo operators featured in Tiger King, including Joe Exotic, Maldonado Passage, Tim Stark of Indiana, Doc Antle of South Carolina, and Jeff Lowe of Oklahoma, are either in prison or facing criminal or civil charges from the government because of their alleged mistreatment of animals. Animal Wellness Action is a Washington, D.C.-based 501c4 organization with the mission of helping animals by promoting legal standards forbidding cruelty. We champion causes that alleviate the suffering of companion animals, farm animals, and wildlife. We advocate for policies to stop dogfighting and cockfighting and other forms of malicious cruelty, and to confront factory farming and other systemic forms of animal exploitation. To prevent cruelty, we promote enacting good public policies, and we work to enforce those policies. To enact good laws, we must elect good lawmakers, and that's why we remind voters which candidates care about their issues and which ones don't. We believe helping animals helps us all. Located in Tampa, Florida, Big Cat Rescue is one of the largest accredited sanctuaries in the world, dedicated to rescuing and providing permanent home for abused and abandoned big cats. The nonprofit organization is accredited by the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries and has a 4-star rating, the highest from Charity Navigator, for sound nonprofit fiscal management. The sanctuary is home to over 40 exotic cats, and it gives our website, bigcatrescue.org. The bill passed the House. Woo-hoo. Oh, that was such amazing news back there on December 4th, 2020. Well, it happened on December 3rd. If you're enjoying my diary, please like, share, and subscribe. You can find other ways to connect to me over at bigcatrescue.org/Carole.Baskin.